This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
Late night bites with friends? Already hard to beat. That first too hot bite of fries you couldn't wait for, followed by ice cold Pepsi. Now that hits different. Suddenly, the energy kicks back in, the night goes longer, and the laughs don't stop. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles Podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And right now through August 30th, they have a 30% off sale going on. And even though it won't work on the 30% off, check out their clearance sale. Again, the Elkins vest, I would buy that. The Harrison hoodie, right now it's $36. Really, really hard to beat that. And utilize that 30% off. Get the Grayling hoodie. That's something that, those three pieces go with me on every hunt. Basically now through, almost the end of November. So those are the three pieces of gear that stay with me. And their merino gloves, the fingerless gloves, you can't go wrong with those either. But check them out, huntworthgear.com. Actually, right now I'm going to head out as soon as I'm done with this and hang a couple more trail cameras, actually, in a couple of the spots that we talk about on this podcast. And Yellowstone right now has an amazing deal going on. Cell cams, what's the biggest thing about them is having to pay for the service, right? So you can buy trail cameras now for nothing, but the cell cams, you pay the money, and then you got to pay monthly for the service. So right now through September, you go to Yellowstone, buy one of their cameras, activate it, put your credit card in there, set it up, and before activating the data plan, you go to yellowstone.ai/friend, fill that out, enter code BHC, and you will get free data for an entire year for their unlimited plan. And you can do that for up to 4 cameras. So that's $130 per camera of savings. So if you're on the fence about them, you want to try them out, great way to do that. All you got to do, go to Yellowstone.ai, go to products, get one of their Y2 cameras, pick up one of their battery packs. I would recommend the rechargeable battery pack. You can't use any of the codes. You have to buy the camera app full price. And then, like I said, Yellowstone.ai/friend, fill that out, use code BHC, and you'll be able to get full a year's worth of data for free. Simple as that. Hard to beat. And like I said, if you're on the fence about trying them, that's an incredible way to kind of dip your toes in if you're unsure, giving them a whirl. So Yellowstone.ai, really happy with them, and definitely go check them out. So beyond that, been playing with the new Latitude sticks, new Latitude ropes, just great pieces of gear. Get over there, check them out. They are the new standard of stick. I'd said it at ATA. I think that they were going to beat out the B stick for the new standard. And having used them, having messed around with them, put them on a tree, climbed with them, the attachment point, just absolutely love it. So if you can get your hands on those, and they're expensive. So if they're out of your price range, those carbon SS sticks, probably one of the best values out there still, get over to Latitude, use code BHC, save 15%. This week, Nate and I are going to recap what's going on with Michigan's dumpster fire of Ernebuck and baiting and what's going on there, as well as kind of stuff as we get into our season, the Patreon hunt, and big announcement for something that's going on at the end of the year, at the end of the podcast. You'll have to stick around and check that out. As always, thanks for listening. Enjoy the podcast. All right, everybody, let's try this again. Back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles Podcast. We've got non-paying Nate over here. Nate, before we get into the podcast, what just happened?
So I think we've been in this house for 7 years, and I have had auto pay set up for like all my utilities the whole time. And one of them is on a credit card. So, you do that. And then every so often you pay the credit card off. Cash flow is weird for me. So I'm not like the Nazi that looks at my bank accounts, multiple times a week or a day. It also started recording, and boom, power went out. And I was like, opened the door of the office. I was like, it's not storming outside. What's going on? And I dug into it after, of course, bad service. So I can hardly use the internet on my phone. So I get the power bank, get the Wi-Fi running. Like, what's going on? There's no outages anywhere. Nope. I just owed like a lot of money to consumers. So I had more money than I thought for a reason, because I hadn't been making my payment. So pretty funny, especially in summertime. So, extremely high payments. I just was like, nah, I don't need to pay those.
Yeah. He's like, power's out. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I was like, maybe like accident or something like that. He's like, no, consumer shot my power out. Are you kidding me?
Well, if anyone runs into this problem, it only takes about 20 minutes and you can have your power back. So, got it.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to look at my finances more often.
So, we're going to get into some of what's going on with Michigan's dumpster fire of the last, what's going on with the licenses, baiting, all of this from the last NRC meeting. I was not able to attend, and I was on vacation, so I didn't really check up on it. So you guys are probably a little bit more well-versed on it than me. A little bit of what's going on with, our seasons and kind of an update of what since last time. And but the last time that Nate and I were together was pretty fun. And so Nate, what happened then?
All right, fingers crossed I can get through the story before power shuts off again. But yeah, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, Adam's like, hey, I got this flamethrower. And I was like, okay. He's like, do you know a spot that we can burn some stuff? And I was like, oh yeah, I got brother-in-law has the apple orchard. Father-in-law's got property. My dad's got property. Like, we'll find a spot to do it. We can do some cool stuff. No big deal. And happened to be in the drought of this summer, so we had no rain, and we elected not to go to the father-in-law's because he's got a bunch of Christmas trees he planted and grass fields. And then brother-in-law was supposed to have some trees removed, so we're like, sweet, we'll use like the bare dirt, burn some old trees, it'll be great. That didn't happen because the excavator broke. So we're like, all right, just come over to my house. Like, in this whole time, I'm thinking like we need a cool location for like the content, not actually the piece of equipment we were using. And Adam shows up and he's got this, or actually you had sent me, before you showed up at my house, you sent me like a couple videos of what it was. And I started watching them like, man, that thing is pretty rowdy. But maybe it just seems cooler. Like this whole time I'm thinking of Temu flamethrower. Like, this isn't going to be anything too crazy. Well, I was wrong. It shoots straight gas and it's battery powered and it's like burns everything. And Henry loved it. I loved it. But yeah, that was we kind of got a little fire fun behind the house.
Well, and the funny thing is that, your kid was there already with the torch, like forging paper clips into whatever he was doing. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just going to be like a little like I forget, like a rosebud, with propane and whatever.
Yes.
It's not going to be a big deal. And I'm like, there's a reason I'm not using it in my neighborhood, Nate. like this thing is like shoots flames 20 feet. And he's like, what?
It does. It does. I was wrong. And Henry, he's got a little bit of arson in him. He loves fires. Like, he's always burning stuff and always has the hose out. So when he saw that thing take off the first time, his eyes are about as big as pancakes because he was like, whoa. And yeah, it was a legit. I still can't believe it shoots straight gas like that, but it works great.
Yeah. So it's from Exothermic. It was like in Parker McDonald got one too. They we just got an email that said like, hey, do you want to make some raw video with a flamethrower? Like, sure. And then neither one of us could believe that it showed up. And it is by far the most dangerous thing that I own. Like by a long shot. And the funniest part is like I had it just chilling in the garage. It was in the box. And my wife, lots of boxes show up. There's hunting stuff everywhere. And she's like, what's that? I'm like, well, it's flamethrower. And she's like, what? Why do we have a flamethrower? I'm like, well, send it to me. And then I sent her a video, like the first video that we did, and she's like, that is the most impractical thing I have ever seen. Like, nobody needs that. Like, I mean, maybe not, but it's cool.
It exceeded expectations tenfold in my mind. I was literally thinking some little rosebud on steroids. Like, it says it shoots 20 feet, but you'd be happy to get 5 feet. This thing launches it as far as it says, and it's fire in a hurry.
Yeah, and I think the one that we got was by far the most dangerous just because of the location of the trigger. It's like right where you put your hand. Like, so if like the button's on and everything's on and you just grab it, like you're shooting
fire.
Flames, like
shooting
flames.
Fire. Yeah, and my yard's recovering. Just let you know the grass is growing pretty good in those couple spots. So if you want to do a controlled burn and you want to get it started, that thing can do it.
I do think though, just because everybody has said it, I'm going to have to try it. Snow removal.
Ooh.
Like, why not?
Yeah, the driveway's a little icy. Your driveway gets icy, so it'd work.
Yeah. So let's get into it. This month's meeting, there was more talk. And was there a vote on the earn a buck?
Yes. So this meeting was the highlight, I guess, for like us whitetail guys would be they amended the earn a buck program, which they're calling a deer reduction zone, I think now is what they changed it to. And we got some more clarity. Like, it is, where is that second buck tag being used, right? And we, I'm not sold on earn a buck. I don't really like that they're doing it the same year. They're trying to do one buck in areas, but I definitely did not like the fact that you could go shoot a doe in one of those 5 test counties and then use a buck tag anywhere in the lower. I thought it would kind of skew the data a little bit, especially when we're changing to one buck in other areas. So a lot of people had pushback for that. Like, if we're doing this, let's do it in a way that second buck, the earned buck, after you shoot your doe in the 5 counties, you have to use that buck tag in one of those 5 counties also. So they amended that, and they did end up voting on that at the end, and it passed. Everyone passed it. There was no one that was against it. So, yeah, so now you will have, if you want to shoot 2 bucks in Michigan, you have to either do the tag that counts for the earn a buck program or the deer reduction zone, which means you get a buck tag and a doe tag, and that doe has to be filled in those 5 counties. You get a second tag then, and then you can fill that second tag in those 5 counties, or you can buy the traditional combo tag and the UP, and you can shoot 2 bucks, but there's no way to shoot 3 bucks. There's no way to shoot 2 bucks in, like, let's say Kent County or Mecosta County or any of these, other counties. The only way you can shoot 2 bucks in the lower is if you shoot a doe in the 5 test counties and then that buck also.
So what was the conversation surrounding that? Like, was there input from like the biologist? Was there even from like the public comment? Because it seems like as an everyday hunter that there's good. I mean, it would seem like there should only be limited amount of tags sold or something like that, because it just there is opportunity for lots of influx into these counties where, okay, well, I want to shoot $2, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy that tag, because I don't have to buy that tag in that county. I can just go online and buy that tag, and then I can venture over there, shoot a doe, and then how do they know that I killed the doe over there?
You register it on the app.
Right.
So, yes, it was very, so I'm trying to think how to say this. This was happening. Like, the commission wanted this. So there was only maybe one or two on it that were like heavily against earn a buck. The rest were totally for it. Like, they've been wanting to do this for a lot longer than it kind of we became aware of it. So it was going through. The DNR was forced to try to make it happen because that's what they were asked to do, even though the DNR did not recommend earn a buck. It was straight from the commission. And the DNR said the most effective way to do this would be to have check stations in these counties and have someone have to actually physically bring the doe there to do that, to help with these problems that we all are envisioning with false does or ghost does or does shot not in one of those counties, for people to be greedy and get their second buck tag. And I mean, and to be honest, no matter how this system would go, there would be people that do that. There's going to be guys that get their second buck tag and they fill it elsewhere. I mean, that's just the humans suck, right? Like, we'll have that. But there was no financial way that they could have a staffed check-in stations. The DNR let them know that a while ago, where they're struggling on budget already. Money is lacking. And then we kind of went through, like, this month, all the stuff that the House wanted to do and what ended up happening. And yeah, there's some financial issues going on with that. I don't really dig too much into that because I don't know enough to know if it's full of crap or if it's just like they need to run it better to save money. I don't know, but money was an issue for them to do that, so that's why they chose not to. And now you can just use the app for that. Put a quota on the amount of does and all that stuff. No, there is not necessarily something set in that I heard anyone talk about this year one. But I guess the nice thing about the way the NRC is and Proposal G is that we can make changes year to year. It's not into the law that would take just forever. Like, they have parameters they can work in, and if we just shoot way too many does and it's a disaster, they can change it to not happen in 2028. So, and a lot can happen even from now to 2027. Like, they got the whole year to change stuff, and which is kind of scary, and who knows what could happen. But also, if it's going off the rails, they can put a halt on it relatively quick. The NRC can. So I guess it's one nice thing about the way it's set up. But the negative is, if you have people sitting up there that really want something, they don't have to really. They can just do it. Like, there's no necessarily, like, you can't force their hand. At least from what I've witnessed, or it seems like.
Yeah, and it seems, if I recall, wasn't one of the recommendations or the asks for this meeting was that the DNR was supposed to come with a proposal of, like, how they would fund these check-in stations, or what they would need to kind of...
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Make this happen as far as like following following up on this stuff?
Yeah, and we had a couple people guessed whether we were, the meeting was going, and I think they talked about some of that budget stuff. Well, we had a guest on. I can't remember if it was Josh or if it was Dave from Razor Broadheads, but talking with some of these other people who are a little bit more like in touch with the DNR, that was like, there's no way they can fund it. So I do know that Ewans had asked the DNR to start doing a study and like data, and Chad got up there and I forget if it's WSI or WIS, but there's a program that's been around for a while that helps with studies and wildlife stuff, and Chad is working with them to start doing that. So we should have better, I don't know if I want to say better data, better understanding, but they're definitely putting forth the effort to provide scientific data to the NRC board moving forward, more so than what I think there has been in years past. So they did make an effort to do that, which is one of the things they asked about. The funding, I remember they talked about like changing the app to do this and going through all that, which I believe that they touched on. I just wasn't tuned in for that part of it. So, but yeah, everyone wants more money, Adam. That's just, they think money's going to fix it. And it's like, I don't know, when's it going to be enough, and we haven't had a tag increase in a while, but part of me thinks this earn a buck or deer reduction thing is a way to get an extra $20 out of guys that want a second buck tag, right? Like
if you've been looking to upgrade your cellular camera system to a system that's easy to use, you need to check out Yellowstone.AI. Their app is simple, intuitive, and designed for hunters by people who actually hunt. From setup to viewing your photos and managing your cameras, everything is straightforward and easy to navigate. Yellowstone's Y2 cellular trail camera was given ATA's Best New Technology Award for its ability to automatically connect to the strongest carrier, send HD photos and videos directly to your phone, and withstand year-round field conditions. What really sets Yellowstone apart is their customer service and lifetime warranty. When you need help, you're dealing with a U.S.-based support team that understands hunters and can get your questions answered quickly. They also offer highly competitive data plans and camera pricing, making it easier to keep more cameras in the field without breaking the bank. And if you're investing in equipment, it's nice knowing it's backed by their lifetime warranty that gives you the confidence season after season, spending less time making unnecessary visits to cameras and more time focusing on the hunt. Whether you're monitoring a home farm, a lease, or a public land setup, Yellowstone delivers the features hunters need with the support and value they deserve. Head over to Yellowstone.AI and see why more hunters are making the switch. Backed by a lifetime warranty, Yellowstone cameras are built to keep hunters connected and confident.
Now I'm going to have to spend more money to get $2 compared to years past. And if that is a success, then they may be, potentially the whole lower could become this in a couple of years. So I'm kind of curious to see what the data shows and what their long-term goal is, especially when like 3 of them are going to be replaced next year. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I don't know if anyone really knows how it's going to shake out.
And then with kind of like on the money thing and kind of how that affects things, what is going on with I understand that it was a bill, a law, or whatever, with the baiting, recreational feeding, but I'm sure that came up at least in public comment because there's the one guy that brings it up every single time. Was that addressed at all in the meeting or just in the public comment?
No, like that guy wasn't even there, which was crazy. I thought for sure he would be there. No, it was not. Nothing that stood out to me. A lot of the public comments were about the earn a buck. There was some, there was something with the trapping that I missed that kind of too. There wasn't as much public comment this time. So it kind of like if you weren't really on your A game, you missed a few things. There was another thing that was pretty important. I'm really drawing a blank. There was a group of guys there that were kind of all pushing something. And the bear guys talked about some things. I have to go back and listen, but the baiting the recreational feeding. It's not baiting, correct? That wasn't really touched on, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions on that, and I don't know what that means. Like right now, it kind of seems like if you want to shoot a deer out the back porch and your bait pile is 100 yards, from your house, you potentially could legally do that if you live in the middle of nowhere, right? Like if you're got a 20-acre piece or 5-acre piece, you got permission to shoot a deer there. It's your residence. Can you shoot it with? Are you a felon, Adam? Like that's kind of our roam shoot thing. And oh man, that's just one of those things where I'm not even like, I don't really care. Like I'm not gonna be like, maybe I'll have some stuff out for the wildlife, but like I don't have a desire to shoot a deer out my back window. So like I don't even know if I'll I got property, I'll have a house. Like I've got acres around me that I could easily have a spin feeder or something set up, but I don't even know if I'm going to do it. Like, I don't even know if it's worth the risk because I don't want to get in trouble for anything. And does it really matter in season? Now, once January 1st hits or whenever we end the season, like, then yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I can supplemental feed or I can have stuff sitting out back within 100 yards of my house. Like, that sounds kind of cool.
Well, I think where it is relevant is, as recent as a couple meetings ago, there was things brought up by the commissioners about all of this stuff about CWD and age class and it being carried on by these older deer. And so wouldn't we want to get rid of these older deer? And the whole baiting thing or recreational feeding or whatever is all of this deer congregating in one area. The CWD, the deer COVID, right? Like 6 feet apart, whatever. Now we've basically gone 100% against that and said, well, it's okay for them to be that close to our house so that we can watch them, but it's not okay because of CWD. That is the reason that they took it away. To do that out in the woods. And so your what you just said with Proposal G and all that, which is supposed to be sound science and all of that, those two things are opposing. And that I see as a problem. Not for anything other than just that.
Yeah, big problem. I mean, that's where the NRC DNR differs from law, right? From the legislature. Like that went through I don't remember all the government stuff, but that got passed through law, right? But people have to remember, this is one of the things that I'm always very curious about with CWD. There's a lot of money to be had if you have CWD in your deer herd, like funding and all that stuff. And I think, what's the guy's name? Is it Rack Junkies? Maybe Stefan something. I've read a couple little things about that, and yeah, it's pretty nuts what CWD means if you have it. And another thing that I keep going back to with this older bucks carrying CWD more, the age class of the bucks have changed dramatically in the APR zones over the last 10 years, right? Has CWD been different in those areas? No. Like, it's no different than it ever was. And there is substantially older bucks running around in those counties. So a lot of that stuff is just, to me, I hear CWD and I'm like, man, that just seems like it's just dirty to me a little bit. So I can see why the NRC is pushing, like, that was another narrative. The one commissioner said, he's like, this earn a buck or deer reduction zone is the reason we're doing this is to reduce the deer herd, to help with CWD and do all that stuff. Like that word keeps coming up to like push a narrative. And it's like, is there more CWD now than when we stopped baiting? Like, was there a huge influx because we baited? All that stuff. And for me, selfishly, I like not having bait piles all around. I enjoy hunting that way. The places I hunt are way different than what they were when there was bait piles everywhere. And so, like, to me, it's like I'm not going to be a proponent for one way or the other. Selfishly, I like not having bait piles around during deer season. But if baiting started tomorrow, like, I would just adapt and make something happen.
Well, I mean, the reason that I brought it up, not only because it's, it happened here recently, and it's something that the NRC should be governing if they're going to say that CWD is the problem, and then they're going to allow recreational feeding. However, you're talking about money and funding and all this other stuff, and there is no enforcement on baiting. And until you stop allowing mineral to be sold at every store that sells, think about this, the whatever it is, the ATA stamp of approval for synthetic urine, or the stuff as far as what's happening in that side, there is at least some sort of quote unquote regulation on like the deer products, with the urines and whatever. That happened. But right next to it is every single mineral product, every single, corn, feed, protein, whatever. And then you go out to the gas station that's in front of that store, and there's all of the products, right? Mm-hmm. And if they're going to still allow those to be sold, and the enforcement is, I don't know what you'd say, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 bait piles, it seems like a moot point. Is it a deterrent? Of course it's a deterrent. But why not have a baiting permit or something like that? So just like your recreational passport, when you buy your tag, say, are you going to bait? Like, yes or no. Then it's extra $15, and then do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I understand that that's a process and all this other stuff. But if your complaint is money, and you're not doing that, and you have to pay to enforce that, and if you're saying, well, we can't afford to enforce it, well, doesn't that kill two birds with one stone? You're allowing more resources to go to other places. You're decreasing funds to pay for taking care of those tickets, and you're increasing revenue from that.
Seems easy. So I just quick did a search. You can do the recreational beating, or you can do the feeding 300 feet from your residence, but you are not allowed to shoot a deer off that, is kind of what it states. But how do you enforce it? How do you do all that? And then I just did like, what's the NRC stance? And they strongly oppose it, of course, saying, scientific evidence, blah, blah, all that stuff. But yeah, I feel like if, I don't know. I wish there was an easier way to do it, but like the baiting thing, like you said, it seems like it's just, if there was hard evidence, like I do not like baiting. I think that's pretty obvious.
That's hard evidence. I don't like it.
I don't like it. Like, this is personal views here. I do not want to see bait piles all over. I don't want to be like an Ohio or a Kansas, that kind of a thing. Selfishly, so this is all selfish. But it's hard for me to defend it because there is no proof that a bait pile spreads CWD that I've ever heard or seen. It's all speculation. Like, there's more deer congregated, blah, blah. They all see each other, and you got guys, run a trail camera on a licking branch. Every deer in the area will hit that licking branch. Now, are they spending as much time on that licking branch as they do on a bait pile in a 10-foot by 10-foot area? Probably not, but there's nothing that I can say, well, the reason why we don't bait in Michigan is because of CWD. I can't like support, like, I've never read anything that proves that. So all these guys that push back on it, I think are very justified because it just seems silly. Like, you got a quarter-acre food plot and you'll have 10 deer out there and they're nosing each other. Like, all the things people have said, like, they're not wrong. Like, those are very valid points, and I just think it's a reason to somehow get funding is why they're doing it. And it just seems like they're, who's benefiting? Are the deer benefiting because the government's getting money from CWD funding? I don't think so. So it's all about the deer, all about what we can do to make them better and keep this going and going. And if we could recreational bait to get them through a winter in some spots, blah blah. I mean, the UP you can bait. Like, what's the reasoning here? And I don't get it.
And then, you say that you can't shoot a deer off of a bait pile or off of your recreational feed. Well, that's 100 yards from your house. How far do you have to be away to hunt it? And if you're 100 yards away from that bait pile, just coming out of their bedding, what is that? What's the difference?
Yeah. It's not too hard to say, oh, I watch these deer come here every night. I just got to intercept them on the way there. And, there's a gray area. There's a big gray area there.
Yeah. So, before we switch gears, any big takeaways? Was there anything that was good or bad?
Takeaways from the meeting. It didn't seem to be as many people at this meeting, which I think is kind of like the letdown from the hard push the last few months. And guys feeling the way they felt. And, it's on a Wednesday, so that's hard. But overall, the regulars that were there, talking with them, I think they were, it felt good that they changed that buck to be in one of those counties that you have to shoot a doe in. That kind of felt good. But overall, it's kind of like, man, it's like, how much does their voice really get heard? And some people are saying it's not at all. I'm kind of on the other side. I think that there's still things that we're doing and could happen. I maybe have a little bit too much of a positive outlook on this. But I do think it's important that we pay attention to who's going to go on the board next year, continuing to, show up if you can and talk to the right people and just be a good advocate for what we want to do. But man, at the end of the day, it comes down to the guys behind the trigger, and the guys, behind the bow and arrow or whatever, that we have to just make sure we're being the best stewards that we can be. And if you want to have whatever that may be, with proper doe harvest, with not shooting does because your area can't handle it, talking with neighbors, like and that's a little bit more of the kumbaya kind of feel. But I've had great luck with doing that stuff, and I have great spots to hunt because I have great neighbors and guys are on the same page. So I'm going to keep advocating for that. But the meeting at the end of the day, it kind of was like, yeah, hey, we're here. It seems good. I'll probably go to the next month's meeting, and then I'm kind of done for the fall because, seasons is going. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Continue to like kind of have a pulse on it a little bit, like what's going on, what's happening, and yeah, finish 2026 out and get ready for the 2027, because who knows what could come up beginning of next year.
All right. So you got some food plots in, you got some things going on. The way that you operate, you got some deer named, you got some picked out, you have some, or is it, I know you were hit with EHD a couple years back, and so how's your season outlook?
Yeah, so, typically I have a pretty good idea of what's around, and kind of keep tabs on some deer through the years. But the last 2 years, I didn't really run trail cameras. 2024, my cameras all died essentially and were terrible. And then 2025, I only had a couple on a place 100 miles away, and they only ran for like 6 days. So I didn't really have like a great, trail camera history of deer the last 2 years. However, there wasn't many in some spots because of EHD. So I was very low expectations going into this year. But I was optimistic because I seen some pretty nice deer. And I do have one that I didn't name him, but it was kind of funny. I was talking to a neighbor after I put some cameras out and did a little scouting to see what trees had acorns and all that stuff. And I was like, hey, did you ever run across this buck? It was like an 8-point. He was probably a 3-year-old when I seen him last, and this is a couple years ago. And I was like, did one of you guys shoot him? I'm just kind of a characteristic that I just hadn't seen before. And nope. And I'm like, I just chalked him up to another EHD buck, because that's what kind of had been happening. Like all the deer that I typically see or looking forward to see next year, guys weren't shooting them. They were just dying from EHD. So I just chalked it up to that. Well, after hanging the cameras, I started getting pictures of a buck, and it potentially could be that deer. That's the only deer that has that characteristic that would make me think he's there. He actually has a rip in his ear, so I'm going to name him Rip Junior because I had a buck that had a rip that deer. As a year and a half old, he had a rip in his ear, and we just tracked him all the way to 4.5, and then he ended up getting shot by a neighbor at 4. We let him go a bunch as a 4-year-old, and then he got shot as a 5-year-old, but he was ripped. So I'm like, oh, cool, Rip Junior. Like that'll just be an easy indicator. It could be that deer, but his body doesn't seem big enough to match that. So there's another deer on my mind that I think he could have been. I let a deer go in November, came through a pinch point, and I was like, ooh, he's got potential. And I pegged him as a 2.5-year-old, and he's a really big 3-year-old if it's that deer. So I'm hoping to get some better pictures of him, or maybe like see him, because it's tough in the summertime, and he just doesn't look mature to me. So like I kind of there's another buck that is bigger bodied, substantially less of a scoring deer that I'm more interested in if I'm right. But who knows, if he walks by, you might have to get an arrow sent after him. And then a couple other spots. There's some I don't know how to like phrase this the right way because I know you'll ridicule me. They're
Let's have it. Come on.
I don't know if you call them call bucks or what I should call them, but like they're 4-year-old deer that are probably like at their max potential. So we fortunately have a lot of those deer run around every year. I shot 2 of them last year that are like, hey, let's let these 10 points go and shoot these 8 points kind of a thing. And there's a couple deer that meet that criteria, and we have had history with them last year. So my dad's feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good that we're going to, be able to reconnect on some of those deer that are, more mature, but don't necessarily have like, I guess, like impressive headgear. Like if that's the right word, like great bucks, but we want to let some of the other ones go to see what they can become. Because my dad like really geeks out on seeing deer year to year because he never saw that growing up. So you think it's kind of cool to let this young deer go and see what he becomes next year. And, he's got great trigger control, so he's definitely leads by example in that regard.
I'm trying to just digest that because
it makes you sick, doesn't it? Just makes you sick to your stomach.
Oh, not at all. But you say.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
And you have said, like, well, it's more about the age class. I'm trying to get deer to this age. And then you almost contradict yourself because you're like, well, I normally wouldn't shoot that deer but he's old enough. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're riding a fine line.
Do you want to know why that is? You're going to hate this. Maybe not. Maybe you like it. It's because there's more deer that age now. So it used to be like you were just ecstatic to have one buck make it to 3.5, and then you were ecstatic to have one make it to 4.5. And now that we have like so many neighbors on board, there's actually more deer in those age classes. So you kind of emulate what these guys in Illinois and Iowa and Kansas have been doing. It's like, hey, you take the bully bucks off the landscape and give those, other ones an opportunity to express their potential. And the landscape can only handle so many deer. So like that's kind of the last 3 years we've kind of switched into that, which was weird. But it's like you see the trail cameras and you're like, hey, this deer they push each other around, and some bucks call certain areas home, and once you shoot that buck, the other one comes in. That's why that's kind of changed. It went from only having one 3-year-old buck to now multiple 3-year-olds, multiple 4-year-olds, and then so you're like you can kind of like actually shoot some of those deer because you want so and so to make it, and you this 7-point or this wide short tine buck that's been the exact same the last 2 years. Like he hits that 4-year-old mark. Like, hey, let's take him, or try to. It's not a guarantee. Like you don't see him that consistently, but that's why that transitions kind of happen on some of the places I hunt, which was happening in the EHD area. I did that every year. Like I had, it took years and years and years of passing deer to all of a sudden like, wow, I got options. And a couple of the bucks behind me were not necessarily the biggest deer I seen that year, but they were the age I wanted, and let them go and see what they become. And that's how that crazy one made it through, from a 3-year-old to a 4-year-old. He was giant as a 3-year-old, and I'm like, I can't shoot him. He's only 3. And then he hit 4, and I was like, this is the biggest deer I've ever had a chance to shoot. And didn't seal the deal, but that's kind of the progression that fortunately I've been able to do here in Michigan.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just because you were talking about headgear and then age class in the same sentence, and like before, it's always been like, we only shoot 4-year-olds or we only shoot 5-year-olds, on this property or whatever. And then now
the 5-year-olds kept getting killed. The big 5-year-olds kept getting killed by neighbors. So we're trying to give them more space they grow up here, and then those big bodied bucks, just like you see them fight each other and push them off. And we want to give a sanctuary to the more timid big bucks, Adam. That's what we're
I had to laugh when you were talking about, like, I just don't like it when they have bait piles everywhere, and I'm like, you're hunting private land. Like, you're just dealing with a handful of individuals. It's not random people.
You'd be surprised when you're on a property that has a lot of property owners how many bait piles are around. It's right on the property line. Like they hunt a lot. They're all over. Like I lived that life until when they switch it, was it like 17, 18 when they finally are like, it's done? Maybe 19. I can't really remember. It was weird. Like they were everywhere. You'd go shed hunting and be like, that dude's hunting in that tree and that bait pile's on this person's property. They don't got permission to be there.
How much did you hunt public when baiting was legal?
Oh, dude, rabbit hunted. There was piles everywhere too. Like that was just terrible. Like way too much. Yeah, I have family that hunts in Manton, and like the bait piles they talk about, I was like, wowzers. Like that just doesn't seem. I don't know. Is that fun? Like, did you like that? Like, what's your opinion on bait piles on public land?
At that time, it was just. I mean, even now, like it lets you know, like, A, where the people are, and B, what kind of hunter they are. Because as soon as you find that, you generally find a ladder stand and a camera. And lots of times they're on the same tree. So you're like, okay.
I guess, like I'm thinking about the couple properties that I would watch deer, go to that bait pile or blow at the guy hunting it, and then they would run over and move around, and or just bounce from one bait pile to the next. So like guys that have multiple ones, and if they're at the one, then they'll go to the other one. And did you like guys complain about, if it's everywhere, they don't move as much, they're all nocturnal? Or do you think a lot of these guys aren't necessarily putting the bait piles right close to bedding, they're kind of putting them in random spots? Because on the private land, most of the time it was like, yeah, they put a bait pile right where the deer want to be, so if they just go in the right wind, it can be effective. But then some of the ones I've seen on public land, it's like there's a bait pile in the middle of nowhere, and I wondered, like, are those deer traveling far to bait piles when they're all over public land?
I would say both. I think you get both sides of the coin. Like, you get guys that are just, like, either really old or really lazy, and so they want something convenient. So they want it here. And I don't think the bait is necessarily like, I think bait is the strategy, not necessarily the spot. Like they think, I'm going to hunt here. I know there's deer around and they're going to come to my bait pile. But then, like, I've went to like the 100% right spot on a map that was like pretty hard to get to, and then found like, you don't need all this. Like, if you could have just slipped in here on the right day, like this, right wind, right everything, like you're in the right spot. And I've said it before, but like I've been in spots where, there's acorns everywhere, there's ag all around, and then you have a pile of apples. Like, what's the point? And And so I think that maybe it's just their culture. That's all they know, you know? And maybe they're trying to like learn how to hunt better. Like they're like, oh, this is the places that I need to be, but we're just going to sprinkle this out here to, you know, spice the spot up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've hunted over bait a long time. Like that's how I grew up hunting. That's what my family did. And we see more deer now than we did baiting. Like you'd see the same fawn or the same, and then, you know, you leave and come back next morning and all the bait's gone. So they were coming at night and like, so like that's deer there. But when you said in the right spot, I scouted a place. It was probably 3 years ago now, and had rabbit hunted around it, and I saw some big rubs, and I was like, you know, trying to back figure. I was like, hey, there's a really good chance that deer's probably living over here. I'm gonna go take a walk back there, and I walked back there, and like kind of like the X marks the spot you would think on the map, and sure enough, there was a ladder stand with like sugar beets, like a lot of sugar beets. And I was like, how is that dude getting all those sugar beets back here? Like there's no clear path back here. You have to go through stuff. Like that dude's backpacking that many sugar beets back here. And I think I started scouting like second week of January, so it wasn't very, you know, it might have still been late doe for all I remember in that spot. But I was like, that dude's committed, man. He's walking back there hunting a lot and bringing sugar beets way the heck back here. And I'd kind of be curious to see what that. I should have pulled the SD card in that camera to see what was on it. But yeah, that was pretty intense.
But you know, I mean, it's situations like that, and I think that in that case, that guy's probably thinking he probably saw all the same sign that you did, and he was like, man, I can't get this figured out, but it's late season. This deer's got to be around here somewhere. So I'm going to, in that place right there at, you know, those rubs and all that sign was probably from pre-rut or when he was coming out of velvet, you know. And so now you are late season. That place could have been completely void of food, but he's like, I'm going to put food here.
Exactly what that spot was like. I was thinking early October. Exactly. Yeah, that was going to be an early October spot, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, and like I said, it's just that culture of like, I'm going to make the deer come to me instead of like putting all of the pieces together.
Yeah.
You know, you have the it's like, it's, I guess the best way to put it is like when I see those bait piles like that, to me, it's like having like all the pieces of a puzzle, like a very rudimentary puzzle, but the guy just can't figure out how to put them together. Like the pieces are together, but some of them are upside down and the corners are mixed up or something like that, you know? They're all there, but they're just not
close. Yeah. It's, yeah. I don't know. I feel like you know, the properties I hunt, like you've kind of seen them, like they're smaller and like they have pockets of bedding. I feel like if I just put like a feeder right outside of bedding, like really invested heavily in that, I don't know, man. It feels like it'd just be, I don't know if it would make it easier, but it just seems like it would kind of ruin it. Like it's like the reason these pockets are good is because they have to go from this point to that point to get food, or they have to use this cover, this feature to travel to get enough food to live. And that makes, I enjoy hunting that way. If I just plopped a feeder right there, does might overtake a spot and it might move the bucks around. Like to me, I don't know how counterintuitive it is, but guys shoot a lot of big deer on bait in early season, and you see videos popping up on YouTube all the time, and there's a giant pile of corn and they come in and shoot a, you know, booner off of it. And it's like, hey, it does work. Like if that's what your end goal is. But
it's also like, you think about like that, you know, we're talking about like the hunters being conditioned to that, like those deer, that may be generations of deer that do the same thing. And, you know, there's that too, like where we see that in the UP, where the feeder that's outside of our camp, like for years and years, and where it's at now, it's not the same, but there's like a sanctuary back there, and you could literally go out there and grab a handful of corn and throw it at this metal feeder, and the deer would come running in at any time, just because as soon as they heard that sound, they were coming in. And it wasn't because, you know, it was just decades of that.
Yeah. So do you shoot deer off that feeder? Do people? Like, would that be weird? Like just like ding, 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 and then the doe comes running, you plug it. That would be kind of weird.
I mean, it's like right now, it's like in the front parking lot. But before it was like out the back, but it was like 10 yards back there. I mean, it's
close.
Yeah, very close. Yeah.
Well, if it comes legal, I'll adapt and make it work. I guess last thing, do you think if it became legal, should it be private only, or would you think it should be both like it used to be? Because like Ohio, Kansas, some of those states, you can only do it on private.
So personally, if it was me, if I had the choice, I would say, yeah, I would rather that it was just that. But being, fair, balanced, whatever, and I think the actual point, the actual problem, the actual to solve the issue would be to just make it across the board, because the same argument that people are having right now about is a food plot legal versus is a bait pile, why is one different than the other if this is what we're talking? And now it's even one further, if recreational versus this. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to say, well, why is it okay on private land but not on public land? Mm-hmm. And, I guess, devil's advocate, you could say, well, that's claiming your spot or this or that. So I could see both sides of it, but just, again, for just, I don't want to say like equality, but just if you're going to sell bait every single place, every single where, mm-hmm. people are going to buy it no matter what. And to say, well, you can only use it here, you can only use it there. But I do see the point of I'm going to do what I want to do on my own property being at the very least mm-hmm. on private land. Because I would say that the majority of it is happening on private land anyways.
That was my last thing. I was like, what percentage more will be doing it that are not doing it? Is it a 10% increase only? Is it a 50% increase? Because, yeah, of all that stuff getting bought up at places right now, there's a real good chance 95% of it's going on private land.
Yeah.
So
I'd say so.
Well, cool. Now everyone knows my stance on baiting. We got that all hashed out.
All right. Usually turn it around on me. So what do you got?
All right. So I was thinking, we're middle of August right now. I have a couple more food plots to do, and then I'm done for the year. And we're gonna hit that September 1st time frame, Labor Day weekend. Are you planning on? I think last we talked about some trail camera placements. I know you moved a couple cameras. Has that shown anything different from some of our public pieces that we were wanting to go hunt this year?
Yeah, so I moved those trail cameras, and why I wasn't getting any trail camera, why?
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
All of a sudden, like the battery went dead or whatever. Squirrels chewed through my solar panel. So that took care of that one. And then so I moved it. I made a really big scrape, and like almost immediately the does came in there. And then of those batch or group of bucks, I've had at least 3 different bucks in there And Jake pointed out one of them has like a really cool like start of a drop tine. Pretty neat.
He needs a couple more birthdays then. We need.
Yeah, not for this guy. But yeah, so that was cool. Just to see, and that one didn't take long at all, and it was very annoying when I went and pulled that camera, because like literally 10 feet in front of that camera was a dozen beds. And so, I really do enjoy the Yellowstone cameras. I'm not well versed in them enough, or I guess like, I don't know. And with me, with any camera, not just trail cameras, not cell cameras, but any camera, like my Insta360s or the Osmo or any of that, I am so I don't know, scared of like the SD cards. And so like I didn't want to pull the SD card out of it and check it, because I didn't want to like mess it up or anything, or like, so there may be pictures still on that card that didn't get sent. Because of like where that camera is. And then the other one where I never got an animal, I pulled that camera down and I did a little bit of walking around, and I found a really cool spot, and there wasn't any really good trees to make a scrape, but there was a spot where one really big trail and another like weak little trail came in, and there was a couple little saplings, so I broke those off and made two like little scrapes like right at the intersection. And I had a doe and some fawns come through, and then I had a couple of small bucks come through, which is fine, because it was just like proof of life.
Yep.
That.
How far of a move was that?
Maybe like 75 yards.
Okay. Like farther down the where we scouted.
Actually, not exactly. It was like more in. It was more back. Like, so if you remember, like looking on the map, like how I found that spot is where all that terrain came in, and it looked like there was like supposed to be a creek there.
Yep.
Well, there was nothing in that creek. Well, that creek still has like moisture in it, so it's really there's a lot more vegetation in there, and so there's a big runway running along on the high ground along that creek.
Yep.
And then coming from the river, there's like a wheat trail coming up that meets that other one.
Makes sense.
And then it kind of does pinch down into where we scouted.
Yep.
Over there along the river.
There was a doe bedded in there. The last night I hunted, I kind of did a loop on the way out just to see if deer were still laying somewhere, if there was actually a bedding area in that area, and there is. I kicked a doe up right there in that, so that makes sense. But yeah, they're just probably skirting that. They were just skirting the camera originally, so you weren't getting them. And then, yeah, that's cool. That's good. Proof of life. I like that.
And walking around in there, like, it's a pretty cool spot. And then again, like the first day that I found that, like all along the top of that creek, there was a bunch of like little scrapes that led me over to that intersection. So I'm sure that that's happening on the bottom side of that too, just depending on the wind. So I'm sure that that's going to be good. So like you said, as we're getting into this, like beginning of September and Labor Day, like the next time that I go up there, where I missed the buck, shot that buck in the face, whatever, I'm going to head over there because I want to see what's going on with acorns, because that's all white oaks over there. So I'm going to go over there and kind of check and see. And they did some logging over there too. And I know that last year over there, basically the red oaks were going bananas, but there wasn't a ton of white oaks. So I'm hoping that this year the white oaks are going to be kind of more prevalent. And I do really like that area over there. And then I didn't really look up on top where you guys hunted to see what that is, because there's some white oaks up there.
There is, yeah. I'm sure if that one spot you're getting deer, like that same general area, that's kind of like where we would catch them moving. So that there's a couple sets you can easily hang between where we hunted and where the other deer we saw were. So that's just a that's just if the camera shows deer, we can go in there and find what tree is dropping on that.
Yeah, but I'd like to have a better idea, like going into it, just to know. And even, back where we crossed that, I guess where we sent Tim and Ben, like back over across that. I'm going to walk back out there too and just see, because that was all maples, but there's got to be something back there. There's got to be a reason why there's so much movement between there. So
yeah, something back in there that they like, maybe a bait pile. So I want to do the same thing. There's an area that I have one of my Yellowstone cameras I haven't set out yet because I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks, maybe that Labor time frame, I'm going to go scout a spot at hunted year one and see what acorns are dropping, because there's just so much buck sign in there, which I think was like the September, late September, velvet coming off, all the bucks making scrapes. There was acorns just raining down everywhere, and I think the white oaks had dropped earlier, and then they kind of moved in farther. So I want to go back in there and set a camera and just see if my gut's right on what I think could be in there. It's a pretty far walk, but Jake checked out a different access for me last year, and I'm going to go back in there. So I kind of want to do that, and I think we're probably pretty good on some spots. I know Brian has a couple cameras out. He's been seeing some bucks up there and some deer, so he's got an area kind of figured out. I don't know if that's in a similar area to anyone else hunts, but I think it's he's going to kind of have the net is getting bigger in that area. There's just so much stuff to cover. And I've looked at the map a couple times, that stuff that you drove by. If I have time, which I don't think I'm going to, I would love to kind of poke my head in there and see, because that just looks like a really fun spot to hunt too. But yeah, I only got a couple days. Football, man, coaching football takes some time away, so I don't know how much effort I'll be able to put into new spots. I think it's going to have to be a go where we know there's deer and make it happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like I want to do, and it's so funny because it kind of like, doing this for so long, I always kind of like bring myself back to things that I've learned and conversations that I've had, and like it brings me back to like the John Eberhart like Speed Scout, like go in that September, and honestly, so the year that I killed. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was the year that I killed this buck right behind me here. Ernie actually killed 2 bucks on opening day. He killed 2 3-year-olds in the same sit on opening day, and he saw like 5 or 7 bucks or something. And then I killed that one, like the 8th or 9th. And what it was is they went in like that September 15th something, and they found a spot, and the spot was insane. And it was a spot that we had hunted a lot. It's not a secret spot, or wasn't something that we just stumbled upon, but it was just checking these old historical spots. And I would bet you that there was 25 scrapes in like 100-yard circle. And then all the rubs that went along with it. And it was on a corner that they knew, so he sat in an old tree that he had sat in. And it's kind of funny because that was the first year that he was using single bevel broadheads. He shot the first buck, and he thought he missed it because it didn't even react. And so then the next one comes by, and he shot that one, and that one did react. He went over there, and the first buck's laying over here dead. Then the other one, they followed the blood trail. That one tagged out, opening day.
Nothing to it. And then, of course, he's like, you need to get back in there, blah, 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 blah. And then they were out of town on some sort of trip. John was just getting home from Montana, and then I killed that one, and then John ended up coming up helping me get it out of there. But so that all that to say, like going in and making that like quick loop just to kind of find that hot sign of, and even the one that I killed with the stick bow up there when we initially found that area, I mean that whole area was
all deer poop. It was all, and Brian and I kicked those deer out of there just doing a quick drive around. And so then I went in there and it was all acorn tops and lots of deer poop. And it was like, well, this is a tree that you got to sit in. And so just knowing that ahead of time is going to give us that much more information, let alone like, okay, we'll just find the tree. But it would be nice to just find that area, you know?
That's exactly how I hunt early October, man. I got a plethora of spots that have proven to have deer in them in October, and I usually try to do it 3 days before I hunt. So like sometimes I can hunt opening day, so 2 to 3 days before I'll do a speed scout or whatever. What does John call it? Does he call it speed scout, or what's the phrase? Yeah. And if I can drive my truck across the farm field and essentially run back, I don't care. Or if I got, this year got that e-bike of yours that you don't ever seem to want to use. So I'll take advantage of, cruising around on that and just check these spots. And I just, whatever one seems to be the most conducive with sign and wind, sneak in there, set a set and hunt. And I got a buck behind me that I did that with. One year, it was like October 5th was the first time I could go in there. So I walked around on like the 2nd or the 3rd, and then had a game plan. I think it was like midday. It might have been on like a rainy day or something. Found my spot, went in, I missed that big deer, like that first sit. And that was just like, this is where they're coming in. I got like a 10-day window where I got to hunt that way. Yeah, we could do that same thing up there. Just knowing the spots to check is where we're getting to. Like now we have enough spots to go check it. Before I was like, dude, I don't know. We just got to walk around and figure out. But now it's like, well, we know there's sign here. We know that there could be white oaks. Let's go check them out and shoot. Even that spot that I found that big set of tracks in, that's a kind of a heck of a walk, but that'd be fun. Like you just start year after year, like, oh man, we got like a lot of opportunities here. Let's get people seeing deer. I mean, seeing deer, we just gotta get them to killing deer is what we gotta get.
Yeah. So what else you got? Anything?
September 1st is when I'm gonna bust the bow out again. The last time I shot my bow was with you, which I don't even remember. That was before TAC, correct? And I had shoulder problem, like I was kind of dealing with it at that time, shot my bow, and I was like, oh yeah, I really have a problem because it was sore for days after. So I actually, I shot it one time after that just to make sure I could pull my bow back because it was hurting, and I could. So I was like, okay, it's not, shooting the bow is not making it worse, or I'm able, with extreme pain, I can still pull my bow back. So I was like, okay, I'm good. So I've just been the last, 6 weeks or however long that's been, trying to consistently throw some weights around, nothing heavy, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that to let it heal up. And I'm feeling really good. And I kind of told myself September 1st is when I'm going to, get the sight tape all the way done completely and just try to shoot a few arrows a day. I'm not going to do any crazy reps just because I want to be able to shoot something in October or November. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Be able to start shooting it, because this has been the longest I've went without. The last calendar year is the least I've shot my bow ever, and since I was a kid. So it feels kind of weird. Last year I didn't have my bow because it was in Omaha because my truck was broke down. So I think I shot 4 arrows and killed 3 deer or something like that. I think I shot a practice arrow, shot a doe. Yeah, I shot 2 does and a buck, and I only shot a total of 6 arrows from September 1st to when I killed that doe. So, yeah, it's not necessarily I want to shoot my bow because I'm worried about being able to make shots. It's just, I like shooting my bow. It's one of those things to do after work or do before I go to bed or first thing in the morning to zip a couple arrows, and I haven't been doing that. So September 1st is the kickoff for that. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. Looking forward to that. I've been doing some, so Spartan Forge is an app I have a little bit of familiarity with, but not a lot. So every time I want to look at Kansas, I've been using Spartan Forge, and I'm getting better at understanding what I'm seeing and what I want, what I like, and comparing that. And I'm slowly falling more and more in love with Spartan Forge versus some of the other apps, just because of how it works for me and what I'm looking for. So I've been doing a little bit of that at night or here and there, dropping pins from spots I know what it looks like, and then comparing and trying to find, different maybe access routes. Because I think one thing people kind of forget, or that I don't know if they don't talk about enough, when you go out of state, man, you could have a great spots, or you could have a really good idea, but if it's the wrong wind, you literally probably shouldn't even go hunt that spot because it's just not conducive to go in there. So like trying to figure out those spots that I like and how to get in there with like multiple winds is kind of what I'm using Spartan Forge for, because I know they're a good spot, or like they checked some of the boxes that I like. But if I have a south wind for 3 days, how do I get in there? You know, kind of a thing if I can't find anything else. So that's kind of what I've been doing for that. And then sold the old bass boat yesterday, so I don't have the 86 bass boat anymore. So if my fishing is officially not going to happen this year, which it hasn't happened yet, so that's kind of a new thing. Coaching started yesterday for football, so that grind started, you know, multiple days a week, nights a week. So I'm going to be hunting a lot of October mornings like last year, early October mornings if I want to get in the woods. And yeah, just sitting here eagerly waiting for October to roll around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's getting to be about that time. And I don't know. I'm focused really on getting this Patreon hunt, getting the spots figured out, doing some e-scouting for Iowa, and really, I mean, what you said about Spartan Forge and about the access, like as soon as I find like a spot, a pin, I mark my access, like I mark like my primary parking spots, and then when I dive in further, that's when I look at that, because I mean I know that everything is subject to change like so much. So I don't even bother with like multiple wind access. I just look at like the primary access, because I want to be like, I want like 5 or 10 spots to be like, okay, if there's a truck here, if there's a truck here, if there's a guy here, if, you know, whatever. And then I just want to be able to go, you know, drive by glass, whatever, but I want one access, and then I don't care about the walk. I don't care about any of that. And then we start to worry about what happens if the wind. But I absolutely love switching the UAV to different times a year, and then the LiDAR. Like the LiDAR for me is, and I think maybe everybody has it now, but Spartan Forge has had it for so long. Like those are basically the only two that I look at, you know, because any of the satellite ones, I always have the topo lines on there, so I'm looking at that anyways. Mm-hmm. But the LiDAR, where I can see a trail, where I can see like, oh, there is an ATV path there, there's an old like logging road there, or if you're looking at a marsh or something and you can see like a defined trail, LiDAR to me is like, that's helped me tremendously.
Especially in areas you never set foot in before. Like it lets you know.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Lets you see those little things that could be, is that drainage as big as I think it is? Nope. Yep. Like it just is, it's just one more thing that could potentially let me scout 2 or 3 more areas in a day instead of wasting time going somewhere that maybe I just don't have any business being in because I don't know how to hunt it too, right? Like, so yeah, I really enjoy using that. Do we want to touch on our December thing we got planned, or should we wait a little bit before we drop that?
Yeah.
Teaser? Little teaser?
I was kind of waiting because I didn't even hear like the outcome. I'm assuming it's a go.
It's a go.
I'm assuming. So go for it.
All right. Well, Skeeter, I wish he was here. We'll have to definitely do an episode with him because he is, we discussed it and he really took it home, I guess is kind of like how I'll explain that. We've been talking ever since Skeeter joined Rome. We have tons of conversations on things that what can we do as the position we're in, what's missing, kind of let's try to help a problem. And one of the recurring problems that we hear is just there's an abundance of does in the state of Michigan, and how we can, leverage that to the outdoorsmen and take advantage of that opportunity, right? And so this idea kind of stemmed from a few things and became Doe Dash. We have Doe Dash, and it is going to be at the Bowman's Club December 13th, I believe is the Sunday. And it's going to be like a multi-day event. Like you're going to have multiple days you can drop does off, and then there's going to be a big hangout day on Sunday. And it's going to be at the Bowman's Club, and it's going to be a really good time. So we're really excited for that. There's going to be, it's more of like, it's going to be more of like one guy calling it like a festival day, like just a hangout day. Let's celebrate the doe, do all these things. We're going to be able to donate the venison to some programs in Michigan. We're also going to be able to donate to people who may want venison that can't afford maybe going to go hunting, or they don't have the opportunity, or had a rough year, or they're maybe a little bit older and their hunting days are behind them, but they still love eating venison. We got a program that we're working on sounds like it's a go to be able to donate that meat to those families. And also Skeeter and like Nick Otto and Joe are going to be kind of creating, there's a cookbook kind of almost completed, and we're going to do some filming to have a cookbook to go along with those families. So this is going to be like a pretty big thing, and we're real excited, man. Real excited to do another thing and help the community out, bring people together to celebrate the doe. And that December 13th time is kind of like end of season for a lot of people, because you got Christmas starting, and just another time to have camp atmosphere.
Yeah, and the idea is, to get people together during that kind of like does only season, where you've got those maybe unfilled tags in your pocket, and maybe you wouldn't go out because you don't want to hassle with the deer. You'd like to go out, and you have the opportunity to shoot deer, but you're like, oh, do I need another deer? What am I going to do? And this is a way to kind of, no pun intended, kill two birds with one stone. You can help by managing the deer herd, by getting some of these does off the landscape, and you can help some of these families, and you can come check out the Bowman's Club. You can hang out with like-minded people. There's going to be prizes. So for just for bringing in a deer, you're going to get a ticket. And then there's going to be, some other novelty stuff for largest deer, longest nose, smallest deer, who came the furthest, all kinds of quirky stuff like that. If it was taken with a bow, you'll get an extra ticket if you're a member of the Bowman's Club, if you sign up for the Bowman's Club, all sorts of things like that. And it's just a fun way to kind of keep ourselves outdoors, keep ourselves involved. And again, we've been talking about this with, you guys are just trophy hunters, that's why you want $1. And really it is about, kind of getting that buck to doe ratio down. And the thing is that we're, as a group, as hunters, we're not taking as many does as we are bucks. And this is just one way, a creative way that we thought we could kind of get hunters more involved and kind of excited to do that. So
yeah, there's going to be like food trucks outside. You're going to be able to, do that. There's going to be vendors there. My goal is to have, 10, at a minimum 10. I have like 25 people I'm going to reach out to. Got a couple yeses already. And you're going to be able to see some people, talk, and maybe have the opportunity to buy some things at maybe a show price. And and right now we're trending to be free. So like you don't have to pay to go do this. Obviously you'll be spending money if you want food at the food trucks and stuff like that, but we're not going to have a door, hey, to get in, you have to pay. So even if you don't shoot a doe and you want to come hang out and celebrate it, you can. Like that's kind of the feel we want to go for. And this is step one of a pretty big idea we have in the next couple of years. So we got to kind of get this solidified, then we can continue to push forward on some of the other things we want to do, kind of centered around the kids or getting guys that have the ability to hunt to help with this doe issue. And yeah, some guys might shoot their, 1 deer, 2 deer a year. They don't really need any more, but they have properties that need some more does taken. They don't know what to do. Come bring it in, submit it to the doe dash, and that will go to the cool thing is the processors we're using in the program is that meat goes to local areas. So that goes to your local area. It's not going to go to another state. It's not going to go somewhere else. It's going to feed families in the area. So pretty cool. It's open to whoever wants to show up. So, I mean, you could drive a long ways and come drop a doe off if you want on Sunday. Or, if you're right down the road, doesn't matter. But yeah, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a little different than some of the other things that are out there. We're trying to make it a little, there's a lot of people that do doe drives and do these things, and we're just trying to kind of take that and maybe see if there's an opportunity to do a little more, and then hopefully we get the system in place that we can hand this over to, people maybe on the east side of the state, north or south, and say, hey, we have a cookbook, we have the funding for this, like let's get venison into people who want it or need it, and keep this thing going for years and years and years.
Yeah, so there'll be lots more information on that coming out in the coming months as we're going. But
so yeah, anyone who's listening that maybe can think of someone that would love like a company or someone that would be great to just have a thing, no matter the size, anything that would do that, reach out to me or Adam, and I'll get in touch with them, because I just want this to be like-minded people, and give some people the opportunity to show products or show whatever in front of like-minded people, which would be kind of cool. So yeah, if anyone's listening and thinks of it, reach out to one of us and we'll get in contact with you. But I'm excited, man. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun 3 days. And then, yeah, Fearless Leader Adam's on vacation. So you're going to be having FOMO, something terrible. So if you love Adam and want to give him a hug, you won't be able to on this, but the rest of the Rome guys, most of us will be there.
Yeah, they come out with a date just as soon as I book my tickets, and but it is what it is. I can do everything that I would normally do in support, and get it off the ground, and then I guess, do what any fearless leader CEO does: get on a plane, sip some martinis, and let it run itself, right?
Yep, he's got it. Hey, me and Skeeter filled in really good for you at the last Bowman's meeting, so you're raising us right, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that's what I do well, is putting the right guys in the right places. Mm-hmm. Delegation.
It's a talent.
That's what they teach you in the Marines.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's kind of all we got for today. I think if there's one takeaway from today, it's going to be pay your bills.
Pay your bills.
Pay your bills. Like that power bill is
especially
important.
when cards expire. When cards expire and you're used to auto pay and you never set auto pay back up. Yeah, pay your bills.
All right.
We'll do another one. We'll do another one in a couple weeks, like that middle of September time frame. I think will be real good, and kind of do an October 1st kickoff. I think it'll be great.
Yeah. So Rome Outdoors Podcast, Rome Syndicate. Joe's been crushing it over there, putting out the videos, and I'm doing some editing. I hope Nate's doing some editing too, and he's got this giant video that I got to fix for him.
Giant?
Jeez. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Nate, thanks for getting your bills paid so you can come back on here and
anytime
join us.
Anytime.
This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.